So we understand that the Edo State governor has actually called for the release of persons who are not involved in the looting and destruction of what happened in Ekpoma. We understand that the students were particularly angry about the quote-unquote inaction of the government and the traditional institution to speak up and speak against power or hold power to account. So in their anger, which is not supported in any shape or form, they went on that protest, and that massive protest led to being hijacked to literally a riot. And I think the traditional ruler's palace, as well as other places, were touched. Things were stolen by some elements who are mischievous in this whole situation. That should not be supported in any shape or form. Well, we saw videos yesterday or 2 days ago of the parents at the police station. I'm particularly happy that they were not treated roughly, because I saw when they were taking them into the vehicle, I don't know whether that was a point of arrest or whether it was when they were at the police station. But you can see the guys here who have been arrested, the young men who were arrested, were alleged to be suspected looters, or who maybe stole one or two things or destroyed one or two things. But the governor said, you know, it's mass arrest. So whatever had happened, those that are not guilty of turning a peaceful protest into a riot should be freed. But the governor has gotten a lot of backlash. The government has gotten a lot of backlash. The government has also said, I did talk with Ekpoma, who is the Commissioner for Information, talking about the efforts of government to curb this insecurity, but it seemed not to be enough. So the people are angry. In fact, the reason I heard they attacked the traditional ruler's palace, which is not acceptable by any shape or form, is that they feel that the traditional ruler is not active enough to speak for the people under his domain. So that's why, you know, it was attacked. But that is not acceptable. So, but at the end of the day, guys, is government waking up to its responsibility. I heard the governor talking about the fact that the operations he saw about one guy that was abducted doesn't really look like how the herders operate. I don't know how he knows how they operate anyway. But more importantly is to the effect that the people that are in the bushes, whether they're herders or whoever they are, that are getting into these bushes, staying in those bushes and coming out to foment trouble, kidnap people, kill people, those are the people the government should target first. And then this, whoever is a criminal element that collaborates with them in the community. But the nuances seem to be more of the people, the elements. So I think that narrative should change. This is not time to be politically correct. I have said Nigeria would change the day elected officials forget for a moment that they want to seek re-election. But we commend the governor for speaking out to say he's going to do the right thing, and we're going to follow through to the end.
And, you know, this is good to note that the students have been released following intervention. We understand that there have been condemnation of the arrest of the students because of reports that some of the students, I'm not quite sure, the number out of the 52 that were reportedly arrested were arrested from their hostels and did not participate in the protests. Well, that should be determined in line with investigations. But if that were true, then it all makes the process and the entire event all the more unwholesome and unbecoming of what should be the management of the protests in Ekpoma. Because at the center of this is also the sanctity of the right to protest, which is guaranteed in the Constitution. And why have the students reportedly protested? Of course, we all know the huge concern that cannot be ignored of insecurity in Ekpoma in Edo State. You know, in the last couple of days prior to the arrest of the students, we had heard huge concerns expressed about constant kidnappings and videos also supporting reports of people being kidnapped right in front of their homes. And so if that is the reason that has elicited the agitation from students in Ekpoma community, which also happens to be, you know, a university community, then, you know, as we rightly pointed out yesterday, the management of the protest would also be significant, and to either erode the already diminishing trust in government and, you know, its relationship with the elected, or it would go ahead to sort of ensure that the people, the elected, have, some form of, however little, confidence in the government. And so this is, comforting to see that the students have been released. Now, Jeffrey, as you have said, we must also see matching this effort, security agents going after the kidnappers and those fomenting trouble in Edo State, those who are not allowing the students and indeed the entire Edo, not even Ekpoma alone now, because we can't forget in a hurry, Uromi, the entire Edo State now, those who are not allowing people go to their farms, go to bed at night with their two eyes closed. We want to see the security agents go right ahead into their enclaves and arresting them, prosecuting them, and ensuring that justice is done. Just as we have seen, the ease with which these students were arrested, we hope that the security agents can match that zeal for the arrest of the criminal elements as well. Coyote.
And speaking of the criminal elements, guys, that's been the question that people have asked. Can we get this sorted once and for all? Arrest these people, arraign them, ensure justice is done. But listening to the governor, who has said that, well, the people who are carrying out these kidnappings are not operating like Fulani. He said, in fact, he believes that they are politically motivated, that these are political attacks and all of that. So that sort of leaves a very tricky situation on our hands, really, because for a lot of these people, they can bet it that these are herdsmen. But the governor is saying, no, they're not herdsmen, that this is political. In fact, he went on to say that this happened, and then we saw the protest, which he described as sentimental. He visited the Poa market where there was destruction and all of that. But one thing is clear, the people need and deserve security. That is clear. And the government must provide that. Yes, it's important to also unveil who these attackers are. And I think that's where the gap is between the government and the people. The people clearly believe what they believe. The government believes what it believes. And it's almost very unbelievable, because you expect that the government and the people would have at least a common ground. The government gets information from the people, intelligence and security agencies. So it's almost like they're living in different realities. And that is a recipe for chaos, clearly, if the people are heading one way and the government is heading another. For a lot of these people, they think and believe strongly that the politics of 2027 is also at play here. And that's why the governor says these are not Fulanese, but political attacks. Whatever the case is, there must be security in Edo State, and I think it's not too much to ask for. And I must mention on the side, when those students were released and the Commissioner for Education was speaking, you could see some of them visibly still angry. You could see in their eyes, a lot of them were still angry that, you know what, it doesn't look like this is over. So the Edo State governor and government, they have to be very careful. You can see in those guys' eyes.
Because, the sentiment would be, this is not what we asked for. It's a case of the hunters now becoming the hunted, and they wonder what government is doing and if government has their acts together in the first place, if they cannot approach, the crime in the same manner as they have been arrested. And that's the point that we should continue to emphasize.
Yeah, we can't take away the fact that there may be one or two criminal elements amongst them, but it looks like the majority of these students are just doing what they have to do. Just saying, look, government, enough is enough. I'm just uncomfortable with the narrative of the governor or what his body language seemed to be speaking. It's sponsored from abroad, all of that. I have always said to governors and all of that, sabotage is what you always have to prepare for if that you want to be a leader. There are people that would want to sabotage you. But as Kayode and Bukola said, the people in the forest, I've not heard the government say anything about those people in the forest. What are you doing? We had a ceremony, what was that gentleman's name? We had 2 days ago. Yes, 2 days ago, we had a gentleman who leads an association in Esan land. And he was talking, he was very clear. And the spokesperson of the governor was here. The guy was clear. He said, look, these people are in the forest. Yes, some of them may not be criminals, but we know that some of them are criminals who are coming in to perpetrate trouble, kill people or kidnap people, whatever it is alleging that they did. We want to hear clearly what is the government doing about those ones. And in collaboration with the ones that are in the town, joining them to cause this trouble. not just from abroad and all of this. Come on, guys. Get the job done. The people want to be safe. I don't think anybody wants a non-peaceful environment. We all want to live in a peaceful environment. Even the government itself has said that, look, when there's violence and all of these things, investors will not come near the place. So the signaling, the messaging, the Edo State government, Senator Mondo Ekpoma has to rise up to the occasion to lead these people. Because let me tell you, Your Excellency, the signaling in the last, say, 3 weeks or 1 month plus is not really good coming from Edo State. I'll give you 3 instances. For whatever political disagreement you guys have, a gentleman was slapped in the UK. When he came down to Benin, some people maybe associated with the government were even rewarding him, thanking him for slapping the person. Not too long, Don Pedro Basaki, whatever he said, the palace has said we didn't send anyone. But anyway, the guy was carried literally almost stripped naked, and now this. The signaling of an unsafe environment coming from Edo is not good. Edo people are not like that. So the government has to do a lot to reverse that signaling, and that way, the only way you can do that is to nip it in the bud. If there are criminal elements in the bush, go after them, not just arresting students.
Simple as that. If they're not Fulani, who are they? If they're politically motivated, who are they? Let the people know.